Good afternoon, Justin O'Keefe from Talent Force Recruitment, continuing on our mission to help parents to get back into the workforce, find roles with flexibility that suit family and your own situation. Today we're going to talk about interviews, and one specific part of interviews, the question of fit. So, interviews are a necessary evil. They're just part of the job hunt process, and really for you, it's your best opportunity to put your best foot forward, to show your skills, to show yourself. However, it's a time when we often, all of us are most often on edge. We're distracted by the room, cars, traffic outside, the difficulties we had parking, the second cup of coffee we had, what the interviewer is doing, the whole process. So it is a bit of a daunting process, okay? So the first thing we would say is a lot of success in interviews is about keeping your cool, and that cliche of just being yourself. So today we're going to talk about the question of fit in interviews. And to understand what fit is, it's very interesting to think about from the interviewer's perspective, that really, what are they looking for? And when we think about fit, when we think of the client or the interviewer is interviewing you and is trying to picture you in the role, working alongside the current team, considering how well you're likely to fit into that role and how likely to do the job. So in this, you really need to show your personality. Now, it's worth thinking about the sort of place where you're interviewing. So if you're interviewing for a civil service job, it's a very, very different interview, very formal interview process, perhaps with a reporter and time limits and a panel. Whereas if you're interviewing for a startup or a small company with 20 or 30 people, it could be something a lot more relaxed. So it's often very hard to get a feel for company culture and the question of fit until the actual interview itself. So there's two things that we'd probably suggest looking at. The first is, on the day itself, taking a few minutes, getting there a few minutes early, just have a look around. So is the place buzzing? Are people moving around quickly, interacting, or a lot of informal chat? Or is it somewhere quiet, sedate, a lot more focused, perhaps a little bit more introverted? So trying to read the company culture. The second one is having a look at how the interviewer is interviewing. Is it very formal? Has the person read your CV? Which is often a very difficult question. I've sat in on a public service interview where there was a 20-minute interview and the person spent the time looking at the clock over my head, and that's quite a daunting process. Or is it something much more informal, much more conversational, an expectation of a lot more to and fro? And really, one needs to mirror what they're doing. So reading the company culture and reading and perhaps mirroring how the interviewer is interviewing, because that also affects the company culture. So to wrap up, you also need to think about how you would fit into the role. So if it's a client-facing role or it's dealing with a lot of you're a coordinator or project manager, there's an expectation there perhaps on the interviewer's side of quite a lot of energy, a bit more extroverted. So you need to be sure that you come across as being capable of doing the job, and also fitting into the role, fitting into the team, but reading that from the interviewer. So the question of fit, extremely important question, and we'll be looking at more interview type tips over the next few days. Any questions, please post them below. We will absolutely answer them. My email, justin@talentforce.ie or 01908 1514. Thanks so much.